Hello guys and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program episode 12. I'm Neo and let's get right to it. Today we first need to hire a new pilot because we killed Jeb in the last episode. I'm still a bit hung up on that, but we need someone else. It seems like the pilots here are mostly female. Let's get this little mod thing here out of the way. Good. Now, I wanted a pilot that's not so stupid but has courage, so Listlin is out of the way, Looney's got a little bit too much courage, and Ronika is also very stupid, but those are the only pilots that I have here. So, which one I'm gonna go? I think I'm gonna go with Ronika, because I want very courage, people with much courage. Okay, and this cost me 51,000, so this is expensive. And now let's start our rocket here. This rocket is basically going to be the first man-made object or Kerbal man-made object to leave our solar system. Or not our solar system, sorry, to leave the Kerbal system. And the rocket design is basically the same one that we used to land on the moon at Minmus. At the bottom and at the top I gutted it a little bit. I took out the second material bay because in the influence of the sun we only need the one material bay to get all the science, because I can't get low to the sun. This would require far too much time and far too much delta V. And basically our boosters are reusable again, so they're gonna fly down with the parachutes, and we're getting our little rocket back to orbit. I'm gonna park this in about a 70 by 70 kilometer orbit at first, and then make the preparations to leave the Kerbal system behind. We basically only want to leave it for a little short time. We're gonna burn prograde from our system out. We're gonna leave it for a very short time and then turn around, burn retrograde to get us back to the planet. We need to do this because we are manned and we don't have enough rations with us to do an extended stay somewhere else or make a whole flyby of the sun or something like that. So this will just be a little hop out of our system. But first we need to get this thing into orbit. This is basically the same as always. Our booster here, that's also reusable, is about to run out. There we have it. And of course I ignited my engines too fast and the first part of it was exploding. But I think the parachutes are right, so this will go back down to the surface and will work perfectly. Now just circularize our orbit with this small engine here to get us into a 70 by 70 kilometer orbit, or approximately 70 by 70, and then we can continue with the more important parts here. Almost done, and there we have it. We're in orbit, 77 by 73 kilometers, that's good. Now we're just gonna zoom out and plot our maneuver along the orbit that Kerbin is doing around the sun. So basically on the other side here we want to burn perfectly prograde to get out of the orbit of Kerbin in line with its orbit around the sun. This will be one of the easiest way to get out and get back in. And now with precise node I'm just trying to calculate the orbit that uses the least amount of delta V while still getting me out. There we have it, 944, 46 for a little bit of margin. Go to 950, that's good for a little bit of margin. That's working perfectly. And now we're gonna just execute this maneuver and see what the timer says after we've done this. Okay, so this will be the first mission that our Kerbals are doing that no human has ever done, as far as I know, because humans have only been in orbit around their home planet and their moon and landing on it, but I don't think any human has ever been to the edge of our local system. We only ever sent probes out there, because in real life, why would we need to send a person when the robots can do the same science and send it back? In KSP, it's a little bit different because the Kerbals can do a lot more science. We can do the crew report and the EVA report, so we get a lot more science from them. Okay, this burn takes a rather long time, but it's pretty nice to see the moon in front and the sun behind. And from inside the capsule, when we roll right, we can see the planet Kerbin around us. Looks pretty nice. We've got the sun and behind the nice little blue planet with the glistening water at the bottom and some little speck in the background there. I'm not quite sure what that is. Maybe it's Minmus, maybe it's a whole other planet like Eve or something like that. With the planet shine mod that I have, you never know. I could use the map view, but never mind. It's just nice to look at and just watch this burn tick down and get to the right orbit for this thing. You can also see when we will have reached the right orbit, because our eccentricity that you can see in the orbit info at the bottom right is going up. And once an orbit eccentricity here is above 1.0, it's basically escaping the system that it's in at the moment. At least for Kerbin, this is exactly the way. I'm not quite sure how it is with the other ones, but we'll hopefully find out pretty soon. Okay, this stage only has a few meters of delta V left, so hopefully we can leave it either in an orbit here, or we will be done by then and it will be a trash stage that will be orbiting the sun in the future. Well, we'll see once the fuel runs out which one of these it will be. Our apoapsis is still rising at an alarming rate, but we need that because the influence of Kerbin is quite strong. So 900 meters of delta V from 70 to 70 kilometer orbit is much for this, but it's, yeah, it just works, and it's not as much as many people would think if you compare it to the 3000 and more delta V's you need to get into this 70 by 70 kilometer orbit. And there I read that my stages were all recovered, all 3 of them, so all the parachutes on the boosters worked. And let's see if we get trash in solar orbit or trash in Kerbin orbit with this booster stage. We are nearly done here. Let's see what happens. And the stage runs out now. And the stage runs out while we are... No, we've escaped it. Okay, so this stage will be trash in a solar orbit in the future. Now let's decouple from it, and now we just need to wait for it to work. And next we're gonna go back to our little satellite here that we needed to send to Minmus, because I totally forgot that I had the satellite in orbit that I wanted to send to Minmus in the last episode. So I'm gonna need to do a plane change here to get my orbital plane into the same as Minmus, because Minmus has a slight inclination, as you can see. I'm just tweaking the nominal thing here to get my ascending node to 0 degrees, and now executing this burn here. Let's just do this real quickly. This is a very small engine, but it's rather powerful because this satellite has very little in the way of weight, so an even smaller engine can put out a nice thrust to weight ratio and a nice good stable burn. So let's just wait for this to be done, activate our little map view here. So you can see we've already got 3 satellites here, I believe, yeah, 3 satellites with stuff on it that we see in the scan set, because you can only see your active vessel and the vessels that have scan set equipment on them. So I only see my 2 vessels here, and now I'm gonna need to do the prograde marker here to get myself into a Minmus orbit. This is about 800 kilometers. Periapse is okay because I can tweak this once I'm at Minmus. I want to be in a 490 by 490 or something like that orbit, because I want to be as far away as possible for the scanning to work, but I need to be in the ideal range, and I think the ideal range for my small scanning equipment is 500 kilometers, so I'm gonna need to watch out for this. Now we're just gonna burn this little spacecraft here and hope our satellite system that should provide us with control over a satellite in Minmus is working and will be in place when we get there. We're gonna have to wait and see. I set up everything correctly. I've got my satellite from last time in a polar orbit with the dish pointing towards Minmus, so everything that's in the cone of this satellite and has a dish pointing back to Kerbin should be controllable. We'll see when we get to the moon, and hopefully this will give us enough science to get the next node that I need, because the next science node I need to have basically is 300 science points, and it's the advanced communication to get us satellite dishes that can send signals and receive signals all the way to Duna and Eve. And once we have that, we can send our first unmanned probes there to scan the planets and maybe discover if Duna will be our first colonizable planet, because I really don't want to colonize Moon or Minmus. The only thing I'm gonna do on Minmus later will be establish what's it called, a mining base maybe, if I find some minerals there, and a refueling station in orbit, so interstellar travel can happen from Minmus, because I've got the extraplanetary launch system, so when we find minerals on Minmus we can start building stuff there, and we don't need to launch it from Kerbin all the time. Okay, now the maneuver node is done. I'm just burning a little bit here to get it just right, and then I can exit it and wait till we are at Minmus. And there we are in the influence of Minmus. Our scan set, our scan map here is now gone, and I'm just eyeballing here to get my periapse down below the 400 kilometer marker, as you can see, and then we'll have to see where our periapse is. And it's in the worst possible point for me, because it's directly behind Minmus, so when I'm at my periapse I won't be able to execute the burn. So I did this. I made a maneuver node and then activated the flight computer of the remote tech system and set him to hold node and execute the maneuver while I still had connection. And now this thing will execute all our maneuvers even if we don't have a connection at that time. I couldn't change anything now once this is done, because, well, basically this thing is flying on autopilot now. But I can look at it and see if it executes the maneuver correctly. This is just a retrograde maneuver to get myself into a nice 400 by 450 by 450 kilometer orbit here. And with this execute function it should work perfectly. We will also need this function or this flight computer later when we are at Duna or Eve, because there the signal delay will be too long to fly manually. So you will see me use this flight computer quite a few times in the future. Okay, now it is done and we need to wait. Well, we can first look, okay, this is working, and then we need to wait till we have signal again. And now I'm just messing with the maneuver node here to get myself into polar orbit for scanning. And I'm just gonna mess around here. I want the orbit to be the same way but polar, and this also works. And once, yeah, this is working, I click node here, and since I don't have a connection with Kerbin, I can't issue commands to the flight computer. But now we're behind Minmus, we're back from behind Minmus. We can say to keep to the node and execute maneuver again, and then need to just time warp towards the maneuver and let the flight computer do the rest. This isn't the MacChap computer. I'm not using the MacChap computer, I'm just using the flight computer from Remote Tech, because MacChap is A, too powerful, and B, would work even when I don't have a signal. And I want this to be realistic, so I'm just using this flight computer that I can program a few basic commands like burn a few seconds, execute commandos, hold prograde, kill rotation and stuff like that, to not be too powerful but to make my life easy. And I'm starting to scan this stuff here. I need 75% of Minmus scanned for my little contract. That will give me some more money and maybe some more science. And now I'm just gonna point the satellite the right way. No, that's not it, it's rated minus. I want to point these scanning equipments towards the planet. Doesn't make a difference, but it looks better. And deactivate the engine so I don't accidentally muck up and do something with my orbit. Okay, these are the missions for now, and now I'm gonna show you something else. Basically my building process here for the next little mission that I'm gonna send to space. This will be the next addition to the space station that we already have in space. So we've got a docking port here and a hitchhiker's storage where my people can live a little better, have a little bit more space. And we've got a workshop, so in the future they can work in there, produce some stuff, and maybe produce also some, in the future, once we have the external launch pad, I think it is called, we can then produce some ships. I've also got the storage container here, as you saw, and now I just want to try to add some stuff here. I decided not to add another coupler, but just one more panel here, and now I need the booster that will get me up there. So this will be an unmanned launch that will get me up there with some electricity that I need, of course. There we go. The space station will get radiators so it doesn't overheat in the future. There we go. But I decided to get the deployable radiators instead because they just look cooler, I think. So get 2 of those. Then we also need some more solar panels to keep with the energy requirement that the workspace will definitely have. And this looks nice. Now we can put it in a protective shell here and try to do the shell as small as possible to work, but still encompass everything. There we go, this looks nice. And now we only need a booster for this. Oh no, I forgot some monopropellant for it, for the docking. So let's add the monopropellant, and after that we're done. We're gonna add the booster and launch this thing in the next episode. I hope I'll see you guys then. Thanks for watching this episode of Kerbal Space Program. If you liked it, be sure to leave a comment or click that like button. And if you never want to miss an episode again, be sure to subscribe. I hope I see you guys next time.